Can your book survive a really weak plot if you have amazing characters? Let's find out.
Hello and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie authors on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
And I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
Welcome, everyone. Jen, how are you? Good to see you.
I am doing really well. I survived turning 53, so I'm doing.
Wow! Happy belated birthday!
Thank you very much. I'm doing good today. Tired, but I was gone all week. For those you don't know, I moved my oldest daughter back from college for the summer, and it was a week. Stressful, long drives. It was just, I'm tired. I just need it. I feel like I need another week off just to be able to catch up from that. But I'm here, and I'm happy to be here.
Me too. Happy you're here too. Welcome, LM Baker, listening and chatting with us live. We do stream live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. And good morning to Piper. Oh, good morning, my fine feather friends. I wonder if she's been logging into Chirp. I hope everyone's been keeping up on their Chirp tasks. Jen's face is saying a lot. They're saying good morning to one another, and Catherine Carroll is also joining us live. We really appreciate all of the great engagement that we get during our live broadcast, but we also appreciate you if you are listening to us on any of the other platforms where you can find your favorite podcasts. If you wouldn't mind, though, could you head on over to YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe, just so that we can continue to reach others with this great time of encouragement and support and hanging out with all of our writing besties. Okay, so, hi, Jason. Jason is also in the chat. And we're going to switch into our topic for today. We're going to be talking...
Sorry, Kathy's here for the first time. So welcome, Kathy. She
welcome
in one of our videos when we were live. So I'm glad to have her with us today.
That's very exciting. Yes. Happy to see you. And if you guys are ever able to join our live chat, Jen likes to say they know more than we do on many topics. And you can always find somebody there to reach out and get your answer.
Mm-hmm. So like my teenagers, they know everything. But my teenagers literally do know more than me. It's like crazy. People always complain about that. Like, oh, they think they know everything. Mine kind of do. Like,
yeah, anyway. They're really ahead of the curve there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking today, can good characters save a bad plot? Can compelling characters carry a weak plot? Or will your story still fall flat? If you've ever poured your heart into a character but struggled to keep your story engaging, our episode today is going to give you clarity and a path forward.
It's a fun episode for me because in case you've not been here for more than 5 minutes, I am a plotter. I am 100% a plotter. I love plotting. I'm a nerd out. Like, give me a pile of post notes and I will plot out a story for you. But I also love characters. I've, in the past, I've quoted, remember back in the day when Periscope was a brand new thing? You guys remember Periscope? This is before Facebook had Facebook Live. I think Periscope is the reason that there is a Facebook Live. Periscope was this app that anyone could have, and you could go live with it. And then they made it to where you could, when you went live with Periscope, you could literally, you could put it on your Facebook page. So this is why I think that's why Facebook Live exists. But and YouTube wasn't as big of a deal, but I mean, it was a big deal. But anywho, in the early days of Periscope, of course, I jumped on. I didn't do anything. I just was watching people. And I came across an interview live with one of my heroes, Jeanette Oak. And I watched the whole thing. I was just like this the whole time. And at the time she was like 80, she was like 83 then. Right. So, but she was just so like sharp and talking about her stories and how she wrote them. And like someone asked, like, how are you able to harness the lifestyle of these characters and just make it so real to us? And she's like, because I lived it. Like, it was so funny. Like, she just was like sassy. But one thing that she said that really struck for me is characters matter. And stop. She just stopped and let that soak into everybody. She's like, if you don't have good characters, nobody cares how good your story is. And I was like, that struck me because I'm a huge plotter. I love to have a good organized story and make sure you hit your plot points. But she's right. If you don't have good characters, nobody cares, right? So because
Ooh.
so our first point is because readers
Character.
readers are going to connect with your characters, not with your plot. As much as I love plotting, your plotting should kind of happen like slyly under the surface, right? Again, I feel like I'm babbling, but my youngest son, who is now in his mid-20s, hates watching movies with me because as we're watching the movie, I'll be like, that I don't trust this guy. And I'll be like, because I know what point we are in the movie. I know there's about to something that's going to happen because of plot points. And so like it should happen on the surface. People shouldn't know that the plot is happening, but they should know that they love their characters, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, it's really interesting to me because every time I hear somebody tell me about their book idea and they tell me what will happen in the book,
Mhm.
that's wonderful. And then especially people who are terrified of somebody like stealing their idea. And when you have the discussion about like, it doesn't matter what you're telling me is going to happen in the book.
Mhm.
Why? Because without the right characters, nobody will care because people are going to connect emotionally to those characters that are developed
Yes.
that actually live out that plot. They don't necessarily care that the movie is about or the book is about the Hope Diamond being stolen. That is not
Right.
that might be intriguing at first. That might be enough to get somebody to be like, "Oh, well, I wonder." But without those good characters, it's going to fall flat.
A great example of this is you'll see lots of biopic movies out there. Like I think there's a new Michael Jackson one out there that people are talking about. There've been different ones on the royal family, on Elvis. But ultimately people know the storyline, right? But what people
Right.
don't know is they want to know the characters that are at play. And so the only thing that makes one of those kind of movies successful is who's doing the acting, what the characters' motivations are. All those things are important to make those kind of movies work or not. However, like characters are so important, but character-driven stories, can be successful, but it has to also have the right structure. Of course, I'm going to come back to that.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Well, I think you're right.
mhm. So literary fiction, some Christian fiction, they will lean heavily on like the hero's journey or things like that. But like if we didn't like Frodo, if we were not cheering for him, we would not care about the rest of the story, right? So you still have to have strong characters. Will make
Right, because
right.
I mean, I think what we're getting at is that sometimes, like as in literary fiction, the plot is the characters' desires, the
Yep.
characters' conflict, how the characters change, and that means that like the momentum is provided by the strength of that character that you've created, and so the plot is not necessarily some big hero's journey or something like that. It is a fascination with the life of these characters.
Exactly. And not even just with hero's journey, even like quieter, I would say plots, more like I do not write hero's journey. I'm a romance author. But I do believe that a character has to evolve in the story. Both my male lead and my female lead have to evolve somehow through the story. And you guys know I've talked about this before that they not only have to evolve and have a character arc, my stories, they have to also have a spiritual arc. So there has to be like two, like they have to really be developing. And they have to have stakes, which is why you have plot points, right? It's not just, I mean, we always say things like this so that keeps the story moving. But why is the story moving? It's because the character is moving and the character is changing. And those stakes have to be personal and meaningful. Like if Tina was writing her story and there was an earthquake in Alaska and it killed millions of people, let's say, but it didn't affect anyone that was in her story, it wouldn't matter. right? So the stakes in the things that are happening, they have to feel personal and meaningful to the characters, so they feel personal and meaningful to us as well.
Agree. And I just would like to throw out there, not for nothing, excuse me, a really great example of this where the characters are the reason why you keep reading the book and that are the source of the plot. The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot, which I read, I think, last year. It is an excellent example. So, not for nothing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go real quick. Let's go to our chat really quick because Catherine says she forgot about Periscope. I know we all forgot about Periscope. So sad. Kathy loves genetic books as well. Ellen Baker says I plot a few books, but I find and heard from other authors that the character decides to go in different directions or disobey what is written out. Even me, the plotter, that happens to me as well. Like we talked about in our Patreon group, that I always plot for 32 chapters just because it's neat on one of my like boards that I do. Each act is divisible by 8 chapters. My books are not always 32 chapters because my characters decide some kind of things happen, right? So, and Piper agrees. She says, I'm writing a mystery, so I feel like I need to know the clues, etc. But so much of the story develops from the characters, the words, and the actions. Jason says, I'm the same way. I plot some, but then it always feels like characters decide to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is true, and especially for people that we call them pantsers or discovery writers, but that for sure is very important.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, as somebody who is the same way, is a discovery writer or a pantser or whatever. However, I think this is a beautiful segue into our next main idea. A weak plot still breaks story, okay? Mm-hmm. Because if your character has no direction, I mean, things happen is one thing, but without a direction, there's going to be frustration on behalf of the reader. So you can have things happen to kind of like throw a curve or change, or you discovering something, but you still need to make sure that you've got a story that's progressing.
Right. You can only let your characters control so much. And then at a certain point, you have to realize that this is going nowhere. Right. So you have to have, so comments. Let's talk about weak plots. How do I know if I have a weak plot? Whether I plot it first or I am letting my characters kind of decide what happens. There are certain signs.
Well, like you could have your people go fishing and go on picnics repeatedly over and over, but with nothing else really going on in the story. Mm-hmm. Do you know anybody who might have had that happening in their early drafts?
Yes. I've also had it happen. 130,000 words in, and there was no end in sight. It was just all these little like mini episodes, but it wasn't as bad as that. But I have read, again, I complained about this book. I'm not naming who it is because writing is hard and I respect what they've done. But I did not enjoy the book because they went on so many picnics. Every time like they would like fight or whatever, like the romantic thing that drew them together is let's go for a picnic. It's like, okay, can you do something else? Like, is this all there is to do in this world that you've created? So repetitive scenes when there's just no like escalation of it. That also we've talked about goals and stakes. If there is nothing that could happen to your person, if they don't have any goals that they're trying to reach, or if there's nothing at stake for them, then it's probably a weak plot. I wrote the book about Phoebe, she's a pastor in the Upper Peninsula. If she's just up, that's the story we're talking about. If she's just up there, just, having these little adventures, okay, great, but no one's going to care. Like, what if she's going to lose her church if she doesn't, do X, Y, or Z? Or what if there's this expectation that she's going to marry by a certain day, or, so that you have to figure out what's at stake for your characters.
Yeah. And then the next hint that we have here for you to look at your plot to see if it's weak is your conflicts that resolve too easily or are never resolved at all. That's problematic.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the two. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Let's talk about the too easily. I will tell you that if the conflict resolves itself too easily, you're not hurting your characters enough. We talked about this the past couple episodes. Some people, and I know that, like, again, we've talked about how I write for cheer chasers. I write people that are just chasing cheer and good vibes, and I'm that person. I love to read something with a happy ending. However, like, true joy doesn't really come unless they've experienced the opposite of that. So if the conflict just came about, or the resolution came about just so easily, it's because there wasn't a strong enough conflict. You have to have your readers thinking that it's just not going to happen. There's no way these two people can get together in the end, or there's no way this person is going to survive this avalanche. You have to have some, like, pretty strong conflict.
Yeah, and I think that if you excuse me, if you have conflict that resolves too easily, it's likely you're writing something like a short story or an episodic situation, like what they would have put on Kindle Vella, to where it's a short read that has a very narrow scope and focus. So if your plot is resolving itself too easy, you might want to consider shifting gears and trying to determine if this is more of a short.
That's a really good point. Yep.
And then what if they don't resolve the conflict at all? How angry are your readers? You can even tell just by the way I'm saying it that it's exasperating.
How about, like, have you ever read a book? Usually, it's usually from indie authors that have not put the time in to edit, or had someone else edit for them. How about you read a book and there's, like, plot holes that never get filled? You're at the end of the book and you're like, what happened to Frederick? Where's Frederick? Like, we completely forgot about this character that was left out here. That's the worst. So, well, that's definitely a different matter. But so having good characters counts, but there are certain things that a good character cannot fix, or that that a good character cannot fix. So one of the things, Jamie, we just talked about plot points. Good characters are not going to fix your plot point, especially if you don't solve the problem for those characters, or you forget that you ever wrote them in the book. That's a problem. Poor pacing. So I think we've had episodes on pacing. If not, we should probably touch on that again. Pacing is very important, and it's something that a reader has no idea exists, but is one of the most important things you as a writer can do. The pacing has to be in a way that it escalates, and then you give your readers a little bit of breath, and then it escalates and you give them a little bit of a breath. This is why I write in a 3-act structure. I think it's perfect for this. But no matter how good my characters are, if I don't have good pacing, they're not gonna save the pacing.
Well, can I tell you what? Oh my goodness, my throat. I keep having these little tickles. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so what's a perfect example of this, I think, Jen, is your current culling of the material that you wrote about Marnie. Now, what you've been writing has been perfect for just a little, what's going on in our podcast. However, if you just took all of those and published it, people would not be able to, like, grasp it. They wouldn't finish it. They wouldn't be into it because there's no plot, there's no structure, there's no clear stakes. All of these things that we're saying great characters cannot fix, because all of us would agree that we're very invested in these two characters, but we're not invested in their story right now because we just don't have one for them.
Right, exactly. And the story that is going to end up being published is going to, I think, be vastly different than what I was writing as well, because what I was writing was these little fun kind of one-offs, and some of that will make it into the story, but you can only have so much sass without without the opposite of that, right? The whole story can't be someone being sassy the whole time, because then you don't have that ebb and flow and the pacing that you need between characters. And also, there was no structure at all in what I was writing.
Right.
And you have to have a beginning, a middle, and end. Even if it's a short story, even if I just put them together as a short story, there has to be some sort of structure. And so that's another thing I would say that a good character cannot fix, is a missing structure. And Tina has said it before, and I agree with her, that that everybody plots. It's either you plot before you start writing, while you're writing, or when you're done writing. Meaning that if you are somebody that is 100% a discovery writer, if you publish a good book, chances are you're going back and you are fixing the places so that you have the good pacing and the good story flow and like that. Or if you've just like are someone like, I can't think of anyone, probably Stephen King or whatever. If you are just somebody that has read so much and written so much that you just know at what point how much to write and where you're writing to, then you are plotting as you're writing, because you are thinking about the structure as you're writing, because it just comes naturally to you. So everybody plots. So a good character cannot fix that if it's missing that. Okay, Kathy says conflict makes the ending so much better. I agree. I agree. Baker says, with my Nano 2022 book, excuse me, I did a prelude from a different point of view from the main character to give a bit of historical background and give a bit of information of what's going on.
Well, that's a good idea.
She says, give a hint of what's going on without the main character's knowledge. Oh, yeah, that's good. Piper says, urban fantasy has so many books with sassy, sarcastic protagonists. I like that, but if the story isn't strong enough, all you have is a character with a smart mouth. Exactly.
Yeah, and you get kind of tired of it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that having very specific personalities for your characters is very important. But if you never learned why my character Phoebe was so strong-willed, and you never learned why she was so stubborn about certain things, you would not like her. I still have people that don't like her, and that's okay. Like, it's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, right? If you never, in the book that's coming out soon, in book 4, if you never knew Sarah's past, you would never understand why she treats some people the way that she treats them. And so you can't just have like sassy. You have to have the structure, and you have to be able to have the pacing and all that stuff too.
Yes, because at the end of the day, characters will create connection, but you need the momentum that plot provides. And without it, your story's just going to fizzle right out and stall.
Agreed.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, great character is essential. We've talked about that plotting is essential. So who wins? Well, the answer is that character and plot need to work together. Jen, you care to speak on that for just a moment?
Sorry to spoil that for everybody, but they both matter. And yes, if you have kind of a weak plot, a character can save it. But guess what? The character has to do the right things to save it, which is going to save your plot and is going to improve your plot, right? A plot should grow out of the character's choices. So a good character is going to have ebbs and flows. A good character is going to have a character arc, maybe even a spiritual arc as well. And so in order for to have that arc, he or she has to have make choices. Sometimes they're the wrong choices, but they have to have things happening. And guess what? Those are plot points, right? What your character wants, their desires, or what they could lose, that's going to shape your story in a way that will save a bad plot.
Well, and I think that efficiency is the nemesis of good art. And I feel like when we talked earlier about how you can't just have endless fishing and picnicking scenes, okay? So now I would say that doesn't mean you don't write them. And if your character wants to go whack-a-doodle and go way off the plot and go over here and do this and do that and the other thing, and you say, no, because my plot says you have to do this now, I would say that you are hurting yourself and you are not developing your writing the way that you could if you just go ahead and write it anyway, even if it will never see the light of day. Because the problem is you think you need to be efficient with your writing time. You think you only have so many words in you, I guess, or you're going to run out of words forever. But the truth of the matter is I can't think of another discipline where the solution to getting better at it is to do it less, is to limit how many times you do it. And yet somehow I think it's because we feel pressured that we do only have a limited window for creative time. We are tempted to not explore where we should.
Right. And so we talked about how Marnie's story is going to be way different and how I was just writing all these little one-offs or whatever. Here is a pile of those one-offs. And I I thought I had it written down somewhere. I do somewhere about how many. It's like close to 80 pages. It's 80 some pages, 80 some sprints that I've done in Marnie's world. And I'm probably only going to use 30% of it. But here's why. If you see some of the colors, I wrote some of the same scenes over and over again, and I colorized this so that I could go back and find them. And guess what? I love parts of all of them, and it has helped enrich how that scene's actually gonna be written in the long run. It's enriched who I see these characters as. Characters have popped up that I didn't know existed that are gonna make it into the story. So like the creative part of it is important, and writing good characters is important. So we don't want to underplay that. So what Jamie is saying, I absolutely agree with. That you need to let your creativeness also flow and let it help to tell the story too. But
yes, because go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. Nope.
Well, I'm thinking if I'm a listener right now, oh my gosh, you're telling me I have to have this amazing plot. Oh my gosh, you're telling me I have to have these amazing characters. And what we're really getting at is that the more you write, the more you will naturally get better at doing both. Like that is the art of it. That is when Jen was grasping to find a seasoned artist like Stephen King to talk about somebody who naturally develops character and advances plot. The reason is because she was grasping in her mind for someone who's done a lot of writing. You've got to do a lot of writing to improve. And so that's how you can accomplish what sounds like an incredible task of doing the character part and the plotting part correctly.
And it might sound huge, but really it comes down to this. There's two things you need to have. You need to have the external and you have to have the internal. So the external really is your plot. What is happening around your characters? And the internal is what makes your character great. What is happening to your character? How are they growing? How are they changing? How are they like kind of like backsliding? I mean, it does not always have to be like they're a good person. They get better and better and better. Like they can make some poor choices. That's still part of a character's growth pattern. But those two things, external, internal, that's really what you're focusing on here.
And a callback to last week's episode when we talk about what Christian readers want, it's especially important that you pay attention to those two things in Christian fiction. You want your transformation arcs, like if somebody is coming to faith or returning to faith, identity or redemption arcs, you've got to tie them to some real stakes so that there is interest for the reader. Okay, so what are some practical ways that we can strengthen both the external and internal conflict in our plots and characters, Jen?
I think goals. And doing that early, making sure that we see that your character has goals, and I don't always mean like goals, meaning like the way that we as humans think of goals, like
lose 50 pounds.
Right. I have a goal that I'm gonna save like so much money by the end of summer. Like it means goals of like I'm going to get on my parents' house, or goals of like, I'm going to marry someone, like, I'm going to fall in love, or I'm not going to let anyone inside of my heart. That's a goal, right? I'm not going to let anyone get near me. I've been hurt too many times. But having some sort of goal that you as the writer know, like, even if you are a discovery writer, you need to know what it is that makes your character tick. And you need to expose that early, because that's part of what makes us fall in love with characters. And again, people will fall in love with your characters first, and then they'll stay for the plot. And so that's why this is important.
And see, Jen, this is where I'm going to come back to, because you said, even if you're a discovery writer. So if you're a discovery writer, this message, give your character a clear goal early. My message to you is to write until you discover it. So it's not like you have to know it when you sit down to write, but you need to keep writing until you discover what that clear goal is, and then just move it up earlier into the timeline.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Then continue to raise the stakes. Again, hurt your characters. I'm going to say it louder for those of you in the back of the room. And when I say hurt your characters, I'm not talking like they don't have to lose a limb or anything, but the person that they think loves them the most, they find out has cheated on them. Or the person that they think like that is going to always be there for them passes away. The Lord takes them home. Like something that's going to hurt them in a way that makes us relate, because guess what? All of our lives are messy too. And people will like your character if they can relate to your character. Also, you got to force some difficult choices. If everything just comes easy for your character, then it's not going to make them as likable, honestly. Give them some difficult choices, and it's okay if they don't make the right choice the first time. It's okay, because
Sure is.
being frustrated with a character makes us also keep turning the page to a certain level. So that's okay too.
Well, and then I think the consequences of those choices, which is really our next point, make sure that every event pushes either growth or consequences. Because as
Mhm.
you said, when they make the wrong decision, it's those consequences that will help move your plot forward in a sort
Yes.
of natural way. Because of that, there's a story structure in improv storytelling where we say once upon a time, and then this happened, and because of that, and because of that, and because of that, the end. So
Mhm.
basically the actions that happen beget other things that happen. So it's a good
Yeah, it's great.
tip. So in the chat, Kathy Werebrights, she wrote, a lot of novels feel rushed nowadays. Unfortunately, in the writing sphere on social media, the advice tends to lean more toward getting books written quickly so that you can stay relevant. But sadly, the plot and characters suffer as a result. And I'm just going to tell you, maybe that's great advice if you are looking at writing. You know how some people look at it as a side hustle or a second income stream. Publish quickly, publish fast, get that $3 from as many people as you can.
Mhm.
That is going to be the advice that you hear all around. But our advice is, because a lot of us aren't necessarily looking to make buckets of ducats from this. We want to improve our craft. That's not the advice that we give.
Plus, I think with the rise of, this is a whole nother episode, but the rise of I think that we are going to stand out and shine by putting out good quality books. And then learning how to market those books over and over again, because we will not be able to keep up with AI and how many books they put out, for sure.
No.
So
And then Baker says she loves Marnie and Mr. Boss sprints.
me too. I'm gonna miss it, because I think once it's published, I'm gonna be done sprinting in their world. I think, unless that's gonna be a sequel or anything, but yeah, they're fun.
Jason says his book starts with a proposal, and Leon shows how much he cares for Kiera. There you go, starting right away with desire. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Baker says, or give them a medical condition that doesn't have a cure, death unknown. Oh, that's a good one too.
Ooh.
Jason, he says he stopped reading a book because over halfway through the characters always made the wrong choice and there was never growth. Okay, yes, exactly. So there's two sides to this coin, right? Like there's nothing bad ever happens to your character, so there's no growth, or they keep doing dumb things and there's no consequence and there's no growth. So that's annoying too. So
yeah, he says it drives them nuts. And then additionally, he said he had a pastor friend get in trouble for using AI to write his sermons. Dun dun dun.
Right. I think that it's a beautiful tool. We are not anti-AI. It might come across that way. We are the opposite of that. We think it is a beautiful tool, but it is not a crutch. And so we're going to be doing an episode soon on AI and the Christian author. I know we are, but it's one of those things that we want to handle like the right way. And there's just so much I mean, there's so many things I want to share with new writers of how you can use it and what it like could do to enhance your, but anyways, it's going to be a while because we're going to be putting it together. It's going to be a good episode though.
Okay, so I mean, we're kind of wrapping up the topic. You want to think of plot as pressure and character as what's revealed under that pressure.
Oh, that's good. Yes,
yeah,
100%. I
really
love
like
that. Yep.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, your great characters can draw the readers in, but the strong plot carries them all the way through to the end.
Right. I agree.
All right. Anything more to say about this topic, Jen?
No, I just love this topic. I feel like I could sit and talk another hour about characters and how plot and characters go together. And I'm a nerd, but yeah. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us on social media. Like Instagram is a quick way to get a hold of us. Comment on this video. We'll answer all comments on videos. So yeah, if you have any questions or any thing you want to add to this conversation, please do below in the comments.
Jen, I feel like your Marnie Sprints, the novel will end up basically being a pantsed novel that you then went back and plotted. So you can say, you can claim that, oh, I did pants a novel once.
Kind of, yeah, because somehow they ended up at a beach house once, only because I think the words reminded me of somebody I used to work with when I lived in Boston, and her she had inherited, she was an older lady, but inherited a family home that was on the beach on the ocean, and it was just the most peaceful, just beautiful. And so they end up there, and I wrote a ton. If you look at this, it's the light blue. Like, I kept writing scenes having to do with that, and it actually is becoming a very big part of the story. So yeah, I guess
love that.
So.
Super fun. And if I want to advocate for someone for you to go back to, first of all, you left a character named Jamie on the side of a mountain, so please go back.
I know.
The other one is that couple where the woman has cancer and they've been married a very long time. That is another world I'd like you to go back to. Listen to me. I'm just like giving fan requests. So if anybody else has fan requests, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what happens to Moxie. And there was a wedding planner story.
Was it me or was it Rhonda?
It was Rhonda. And so Rhonda needs to get her act together, because I need to know what happens to this wedding planner who found a murdered body. Like, I gotta know.
Yes. And see, and it's the characters in these cases, and we want them to go and have an adventure that we can follow along on.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Okay, so thanks for indulging me there, Jen. Now we're going to move on to the feeding of the backs, which is a part of our episode where we read out loud for you pieces of writing that were crafted in just 15 minutes. We both write to the same prompt, and then we don't edit. We just bring them live to you. And the purpose of this is to show you how, even if somebody else stole your idea for a book, it's going to come out way different than what you would write. So do not worry about that, my friend. And to prove that, Jen, why don't you tell them what our prompt was today and read for us what you wrote?
All right. So it was 5 words. And I feel like we've been using these words already.
I know.
Didn't it feel like that? So this may have been a repeat from one of our days, or close to it, one of our days this last month. For those of you who don't know, back in April, way back in April. Was one of our writing sprint challenge months. And we spent every day in April writing to a prompt. You didn't have to do the prompt. I didn't do the prompt most of the time because I was in the middle of doing other things. Anyway, so here today was 5 words: lantern, secret, river, promise, shadow. All right, so here's what I wrote. This is somewhere in Widows of the West world. For those of you who are new, I'm also working on a Widows of the West series. Okay. It didn't take Regina long to find Hank's secret path down to the river. It only took a few minutes of skimming the forest edge to find the clearing where the vegetation was worn from the many times the path had been used. She wasn't exactly a scout, but it didn't take a genius to know that if the grass was worn away, someone was wearing it away. She didn't pause long to consider her decision. The promise of a moment of freedom and some fresh river water to splash around in was all Regina needed to launch herself down the steep incline. It wasn't until she had slid nearly halfway down that a shadow of concern crossed her happy existence as she realized she was going to have to find a way back up the tree-covered bank. But that was a problem for later. Now was a time for cool water, and the sound of the rushing river below beckoned her like a moth to flame. Speaking of flame, Regina wondered if she should have grabbed a lantern before leaving the cabin. She hadn't thought about it being so much darker at the river, which was nestled deep in the valley, surrounded by tall pines and dense brush. The sun would be setting soon, but not so soon as to worry, so she put that concern into the later category with her future exit strategy. The river was even more glorious than she had expected. Not too large so as to be impassable, but wide enough for skipping rocks and wading in. She looked down at her boots. She didn't really want to be bothered to unlace her boots and remove her stockings for wading. She didn't expect she had enough time for that now. She'd have to come earlier in the day if she were to plan for proper wading, so skipping rocks would have to suffice. She spotted an area. 3, 2, 1. That's it.
Oh, I really enjoyed that.
Really? I feel like
like
it was
how,
a
yeah.
nothing burger.
I think it's funny how she started off. Well, I thought she was looking for this man.
Mhm.
Nope. She's like, I'm just going to go to the river for my own sake,
Mhm.
which I appreciated because you see, that's how the plot and the character work together because the reader is wondering, the reader is on a journey of what is going to happen in the story. And I know you didn't intentionally do this, but that's kind of what we're talking about. So, see, like she notices the worn down vegetation. Okay, she's going down. What's going to be at the end? You see what I mean? And so I
Mhm.
think it's important. It was a very good demonstration of what we were talking about today, whether you meant to do that or not.
Oh, thank you. Piper says, there's a lot of decisions in that basket for later. Yes. So I don't know if you guys remember my sprint from last week that I had read. Remember, I read the wrong one too, but it was where she's on one side of the river and he has to come and basically save her. And
Oh, yeah.
so this week when I saw river and lantern, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to write that scene over again. So this is me going backwards. And I like, how did she get there? How did we get into this mess in the first place? So I'm just exploring that story.
Yes, just to plant a possible seed, okay?
Mhm.
Like it seems like Colleen is dealing a lot with wind. Maybe this girl is dealing a lot with water and the river. And so your themes maybe are getting set up here a little bit just as you explore your world and your characters and the themes of each of your stories. It's just like it's naturally happening that these things are reoccurring. So just to plant that in there and see if that sticks.
And Jamie is exposing, that she knows a little bit more about so yes, Jamie knows that there is like weather themes too. Like I already have a name for the first book and it's weather related. And so that's very true. I do think that water is gonna, yes. Now I'm doing a 4-book series. I'm still trying to get to book 4, which is what started this whole thing. Was a sprint from, was it the first or second episode of the podcast? I hate to suggest that anyone go back and watch any of those episodes because they are pretty rough, but my sprint was like from out of nowhere and everyone's like, oh, where's she going? I'm like, I don't know. And that's where the Widows of the West came from. So we're going on 6 years now.
I love it. I just love it. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
Way to exercise your craft, Jen.
All right, Jamie, speaking of exercising craft, let's hear what you did.
Yeah, and this is kind of a nothing burger too, but it was good to write. This is Sparrow and Feck. And again, I thought that these were very familiar words. Anyway, Lantern, Secret, River, Promise, Shadow. The lantern light gone, Sparrow settled down and tried to sleep, but the sound of the nearby river kept her mind restless. She wanted to be out there again, traveling with Feck and with the creature. But why? She wondered. The town was as lovely as Feck had made it out to be, and the people doubly so. Hadn't she been welcomed? Didn't she have the promise of pending prosperity in the apprenticeship with Krogan? It became impossible to stay prone, and she got up and went out. The fresh air was invigorating, and the river beckoned. She considered going back in for her boots and decided against it, ridiculously reasoning that bare feet might keep her closer to home. She was about to round the corner and stopped. The shadow of a figure was visible just on the other side. Feck, she whispered, and the figure shifted, but no response came from it. Sparrow swallowed hard. Why was she afraid? Because, she realized, she'd met the good people of the town in the bright light of day. She had no idea what sort of villagers were comfortable roaming around the town in the evening. Certainly only scary monsters such as yourself, Sparrow thought in Feck's chiding tone, and she smiled. Of course, someone being out at night wasn't in itself a reason for alarm. Still, she found herself slowly peeking around the corner. The figure was easy to see as the moons lit it from two sides. It was tall and narrow and dressed in a dark robe that reflected purple. It was not a menacing figure. In fact, a welcoming aura seemed to envelop it, and Sparrow was drawn closer. She crept quietly up to the figure, then stood next to it, making no effort to look at its face, but rather taking in the view of the land beyond the river, studying it as the figure seemed to. And then I have literally in parentheses, insert description of Land Behind the River. Because I was absolutely uninspired. Anyway, he kept his promise. The voice that came from the figure was soft and warm and feminine. His promise. Sparrow had not meant to speak, nor had she meant to turn and address the figure. And that's it.
Oh my gosh, Jamie, I can't believe you said that this is nothing. This is so good. Of all the things you've written about Sparrow and Feck, for me personally, this one has drawn me in and makes me feel the most like a C.S. Lewis or a Tolkien. I feel like there's world building here, and I feel like, who's this person? And yeah, I feel like it's going deeper than just them. Like, yeah, so good, Jamie. The character, the way you describe the character, and I love the fact that she wants to be on the road with them, that she misses it, but she logically, well, this should be better for me. And then now this character that's just showing up, like, so good. So, and you like just Discovery wrote this, like.
Well, and what I think is very interesting, first of all, is I was like, this idea that the river is drawing them happened in your story and in mine. And also, we both thought about shoes and feet, like the practical implications of what it is like to be at a river. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, that's very interesting.
Not a part of the prompt. And so it just goes to show you that realistically, like, humans be humaning, right? Like, you're going to think about, what am I going to do with my socks and shoes? And it's important kind of not to leave that out. Like, the physical matters, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, you find me, I come across a river. There's no way I'm not putting my feet in it. Like, I know I'm a country girl. I really truly am. But like, whether it's like I'm taking my Birkenstocks off and I'm wading in, or I'm sitting on the edge and I'm putting my feet in, like, there's just no way that I'm not. And so, yeah, that's interesting. And I know there's other people that did not grow up in the country that would never think to, like, there are fish in there. I'm not taking my shoes off. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, but my experience, I'm going to write from my experience. So yeah, that's really cool. Huh.
It reminds me of something I saw come up on my social media. This poor girl was scared to eat apples from straight off a tree because she was worried there might be something wrong with them because she wasn't like buying them at the grocery store. Like, this was the conversation she was having with her social media, like following people or whatever. And of course they were very cruel to her. They were like, hello, where do you think apples come from? You know? Right. And she needed somebody to give them the seal of approval. But anyway, yeah, water is wet and inviting and cold, unless you're in Florida. So it's sad because down here,
I probably wouldn't do it.
The water. Yeah,
I probably wouldn't do it in Florida.
I miss Michigan. I'm gonna have to try to get into the water when I'm up there, coming up soon.
Okay, I got a couple spots I can just send you to that are just very easy to wade into.
Oh, I love it. All right. So we have finished the feeding of the back. So now we need to know what is going on with one another. What's up and what's next, Jen? We're not writing together anymore, are we, at night?
Well, we still can.
Have you missed it?
I have. Yes and no. I've been so busy this week. I've been gone.
True.
I've been gone all week. And so, like, and I missed so many text messages. Jamie texted me at one point. I didn't see it for like over 24 hours.
Which wouldn't problematic, except I was like, can you at least give this text a thumbs up, because I haven't heard from you in forever and I'm really worried about you, and proceeds to not see it. So anyway,
I do get a lot of spam. I need to like figure out why I'm getting so much spam. And I get a lot of spam phone calls, and people are like, oh, just get on the no call list. No, these are not legit people. They're not going to listen to, they like have bots that call from all different phone numbers, and I don't know how they got a hold of me, but anyway, so it's a new kind of normal. My girls will finish up school in a couple weeks here. Like, they do homeschooling, and they have a co-op they go to. But my plan is to try to get into, for those of you that are not part of our Patreon, we do have an open office where if you're a part of our Patreon, you can go in and you can like message and say, hey, I'm going in if anyone wants to write with me, do some body doubling. And then I have, so I'm planning on getting some writing done, but I have like Marnie's stories basically plotted out. I just need to start writing it. And like I said, I have these things as inspiration. I'm going to start with these stories and see where they're going to fit in. There if you see a hot pink is an absolute no, and there's only a couple that are absolute no, I'm not using that at all, because I feel like it just goes too far off of like what I want her character to be or her arc to be. So really it's just sitting down and doing that, and then I have some pre-launch stuff I have to start working on, so I got a busy few weeks, but I got a plan and a podcast stuff obviously. So, hey, speaking of podcast stuff, if you guys are on YouTube and you see our shorts or anything, we would love it if you would like them, maybe even comment. That helps to bring new people to the podcast. We are getting some more followers slowly, but surely they're trickling in. Also, I mean, hey, it's free. Go ahead and like the podcast episodes if you'd like to. That helps as well. We would just really appreciate that. So that's what I'm doing. What about you, Jamie?
I have missed getting together regularly with everybody, but that 8:00 was a really weird scrambling to get there on time thing, because the amount of time between when I was done with work and then when the sprint started was always just bizarro town for me. So I'm very like, oh, I miss everybody. And yet I cannot recommit to like 8:00 at night or something. So I do need to figure out what kind of commitment I'm going to make to my writing, which the purpose of April was to reinvigorate me to want to dedicate more time to my writing. So mission accomplished there. Yay. I just don't know quite what that looks like yet. I've got a very busy schedule all of a sudden, which was not the case before. Not having the time has never been the reason why I am not a more prolific writer. So it's good though to feel like I want to make the time for my writing. That's a very good place to be. So hooray.
The nice thing about having this open office hours is if you find that you have a free half an hour, you can just say, hey, I'm going to head in there. And there's like a built-in accountability, because even if nobody shows up, they could show up in that half an hour. And if you're like, screwing around and not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they're going to see it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's going to help as well. Like, just like if I have a half an hour, I'm just going to say that I have a half an hour and I'm just going to slide in there. And then anyone wants to join us, it doesn't. So if you're interested in that, it costs as little as $5 a month to support this podcast. This is a ministry for us. Jamie and I do not make any money off of this, and any money that comes in helps to pay for the rising costs of this podcast. But also we have big plans of things that we want to do as the podcast grows. So if you like this podcast and want to support it, at the very least, like what you are watching. If you are listening to this as a podcast, please give us a review. We would really appreciate that. And then if you want to go a little bit further and join the Patreon, you can do it for as little as $5 a month. And the cool thing is that you get to meet other Christian writers and spend time writing with them. And there are a lot. They've become our friends. We have a lot of really cool people in there.
LM Baker, no, Jen did not ghost. What happened was I did not listen very carefully when she mentioned that going to get her daughter was going to be like a multi-day affair. Like, I knew she was going whatever day, but then I did not comprehend or understand that it would be like this day that I was expecting to meet up with her. And so I was like panicking about the no-show, but I had been informed but didn't remember or something. Anyway, the point is everything is fine.
And I probably was not as clear because we were in the middle of writing. We were still doing this printing thing. So it's on me too. I was not very explicit in it as well. So.
Yes. Miscommunication.
But usually she can get a hold of me like through texting and through mess. Like usually it's not a problem. So I can see why she was like, what is going on? Because I was so busy moving my daughter out, seeing my grandbaby, and just trying to juggle everything. My 80-year-old father went with us as well. And so that was another, which he's very, very healthy. So like when you think 80, like take about 10 years off of that at least. And that's what he's like. But still, he's another person I had to juggle on this trip. So it was chaos. It was a lot of work, totally worth it. But when I finally had time to breathe is when I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, like all these messages of people because I didn't like normally my phone buzzed and I didn't feel it. I didn't hear it. I was so busy. So yeah, it was crazy.
Well, Piper says, yay for writing, Jamie. Thank you, Piper. I know that you're always there to support me. And Ellen Baker says she also has a very busy schedule with her work. 65th anniversary with the whole retail stores and 10th anniversary for the store where she works. Wow. Well, that is busy. Oh, I bet they're going to need you. Many hands make light work. Good for you for being there for them. Okay, so I hope that the rest of you are going to have a wonderful week ahead and look forward to seeing you next Friday. But until then, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye for now.
Bye.